Hi everybody, Jillian here for Illustrated Faith, and today I have another Revival Camp devotional entry for you guys today. Today I'm going to be working through Amy's devotional, which is all about committing to the Lord. And so here I have my traveler's journal that I've been using so far, and we're just going to jump right in. So I've been taping pages together in my notebook for every entry that I do, because in this journal there's way more pages than I personally would use for this project. So I just use the Illustrated Faith tape runner to combine a couple, and then you can see there that I have the washi tape from the August devotional kit off to the left edge of the piece of paper with the devotional glued down on top of it. So I decided here, since I'm going to be using a wet medium in this book, to go ahead and double up my pages first instead of waiting until the next time I go into the book. Since this is Amy's devotional, the resident watercolor artist at Illustrated Faith, I wanted to use watercolors for her devotional contribution today. And I knew that the page was going to warp because I'm not planning on prepping this with gesso or anything, which I could have done, but I decided not to. I knew the pages were going to warp, so I wanted to go ahead and glue them together to keep it from totally buckling, and then to make sure that I was able to glue them together instead of trying to glue like a watercolor page to a fresh brand new page, if that makes sense. So I was super inspired by the trail mix that's included with the August devotional kit. And it's that pack of stars. You'll see it in a moment. It's adorable. And there's an excerpt from a verse on the bottom that says he counts the stars. And so I knew, based on what I was going to be journaling about here, that I wanted to have like a night sky, or the best night sky that I could make. As you'll see here, I'm going to leave the watercoloring to Amy because she's so great at it, because mine doesn't technically look like a sky. I'm trying here to do like an ombre thing. There's a lot of water on the page. I don't have much experience with watercolor, which is fine. I just jumped in and wanted to have fun and spend some time really thinking about this verse, Psalm 37:5. And so I'm looking here and I hit it with my heat tool. I got Heather's devotional wet on the back side here. It got into the binding, and I'm thinking this doesn't really look like a sky. I want it a little darker. So what I'm going to do is go back over it with a couple of the different color blues from the Illustrated Faith watercolor set to deepen the color a little bit. And I'm going to use a little less water. So the majority of the pigment is up towards the top of the page, and then I am just dragging a clean-ish brush down to the bottom, so the color just kind of fades down to the bottom of the page. I'm using my heat tool because I didn't have so much time to let this dry completely on its own, so maybe you'd have better results if you didn't use a heat tool. And I end up covering Amy's devotional card here and Heather's, the next one, with this watercolor. But the cool thing is, when you purchase the kit from DaySpring, you get the devotional cards digitally emailed to you, along with some other great design elements and things like that. So it's no big deal. I'm going to go ahead and take them out of the book and then print the digital copy out and then glue it in. So I showed you the pack of trail mix there, and I'm going to be using all different kinds of stars for today's entry. So there are 2 large stars included, but I wanted to have 3 on my page. So I decided to have them kind of hanging off the edge, and then I flipped it over, trimmed off the excess. I'll use what I trimmed off elsewhere on the page. I also pulled these star stickers out from the kit. I didn't end up using them, but you totally could. I wanted to really stick with the metallic stars today. So this is the star confetti that we get in the trail mix. It's adorable. And then I've pulled the Homespun alphabet stamps here because I want to really pull out 2 of the action words in Psalm 37:5. And I'll go ahead and read those to you. It says, "Commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will do this." And then verse 6 goes on to say, "He will make your righteous reward shine like the dawn, your vindication like the noonday sun." Amy encourages us in her devotional that when we commit our way to Him, He will establish our journey. And because I wanted to focus on these words, I decided to emboss them with some white embossing powder here. So I'm showing you the Versamark ink that we used for embossing. and it works just like any other stamp pad. You press your stamp onto the stamp pad and stamp it down onto your page. And I doubt very much you can see it on the video because it is like a clear sticky ink, but you'll see in a moment how it comes together. And I'm also using some white Zing embossing powder from American Crafts. Trusting in the Lord has certainly been a theme in my life this year. Just one thing after another has kind of come our way, and I'm constantly reminded that He is trustworthy. So you see here that the embossing powder just clings to the Versamark ink that's on the page. I also took a dry brush and brushed some of the stray embossing powder that ended up where I didn't want it. And I'm using my heat tool now to melt the embossing powder. You can see the magic happening here. So it turns it from a powder and kind of hardens it. I don't know the science behind it, but it's pretty cool. And so now I've got a big white title on my page. And then I'm going to go ahead and use these navy blue Homespun alpha stickers to get the first action word from this verse down. So commit, comma, trust is going to be my title. So I personally used to be the queen of, yeah, but what if, you know, X, Y, or Z happens? But then the Holy Spirit reminds me of who I'm putting my trust in. And that's what my journaling is going to be all about. But first, I'm going to get some of these stars down. I'm using some gold color shine here from Heidi Swapp to, it's like a mist, but I just take the nozzle out and tap the nozzle like I would if I was doing watercolor splatters. This just gives it a really like pretty metallic finish. I have like all different kinds of stars on this page, so the the color shine almost acts as like the stars way out in the distance, and then the confetti stars that I'm putting down with the tape runner just have this really great metallic sheen that catch your eye, and then of course those three larger gold glitter stars. When I sat down to make this page, I had thought about maybe even gold embossing stars onto this night sky here, which you could totally do, but I really wanted to make myself use elements from the kit. So I'm just picking up one star at a time with my tape runner and then placing it down on the page. There is a tool, I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, where it's basically like a little pen that has adhesive on the tip of it, and you can pick things up with the tip of this pen. It applies adhesive to it, and it would be much easier to use that tool instead of what I'm doing here. But I don't have it, which is no big deal. Obviously, I was still able to create the page. But if you have one of those, I highly, and you'll know what the name is, I highly recommend using it. Now I pulled out the stamp set from the kit because I've been putting one of these layered badge stamps on every single entry in my notebook, and I just couldn't figure out a way to make it work. I really wanted to focus on the journaling, and so this is the 7th entry now that I've done, and the first one without one of these badge stamps, but it's totally okay. So I'm focusing here on my journaling, reminding myself that I'm trusting in Him who counts the stars and calls them by name. This reminds me that nothing gets by Him. I'm trusting in the one who knows all things, including our future, who works all things for our good, not just so-so or hey, I hope this turns out okay for ya. Trusting the one who loves us and who makes a way when there is no way. And because we know that He's trustworthy, we can walk in obedience to whatever He has called us, big or small, even when we don't know what the next step is. So that's going to do it for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you soon.